I'm sick of seeing my face. I know some people feel the same way. And my voice. I can't change it. Should I have Chewbacca do this one? All right. So I should understand this. What's he doing? What's he doing? Don't write this down. Are these like terms? No? Are these like terms? What does this equal? 2xy's, right? So the idea. And then what's xy minus xy? 0xy. 0 times xy is still 0. So the idea of what variables represent. But those say cosine, sine, x, and y. Yeah, I'm trying to make a point that like variables can be a couple variables and they have to be exactly the same. So what ends up happening? This is all a like term. Sine y cosine x, negative sine y cosine x. Those are exactly the same like terms. I often get people cross off the sine y and the cosine x and the cos. They're treating those like, no, it's like all one big unit. And then what do we just say about xy plus xy? Well, what does that become when I add those together? 2 sine x. So I guess what I wanted to make sure we're solidified with is trig in these identities. It's like you're doing algebra. You just have to treat the trig like variables. Okay, and that's why I wanted to cover that sheet. But darn it, I'm so sad at myself. I don't know. I feel like I want to cover that worksheet, even though I grabbed it and I have to stamp it, because I do want to go to that and show you some things. But I know you want to write on that sheet too. So I don't know how I didn't stamp that yesterday. So upset with myself. 8. Can't get over these things. You know what? You went a lot. Didn't you go like 3 times yesterday? Getting sick of this calculator and the redundancies of these numbers. I feel like it's the same things going on. You haven't gone in a while. All right, that's good. All right, so do something, not nothing. So what do I write for that? Yeah, it's you. You're just sitting there. Sign 210. I would hope you were doing what you did yesterday, where what you're supposed to do, not look at that sheet all the time, and hopefully you help yourself for tomorrow. Because by the way, in that section, I'll mention this when the other two finish their quiz. I'm going to throw these in the formula memorization thing. So I think people should know this. So sine 210 what? Cosine what? X. So it's sine cosine. And then what's the sign, the same or different? Sine, the signs are the same or different? Oh, signs are the same. And then what? I'll make you do this. Sine who? And then cosine who? So that way, when you write it that way, you'll know. I gotta sign at the different angle, and you'll be fine. Okay. And you got lucky on that one, and the person next is lucky. 10, Angelina, right? Yeah. Did you go twice? Once last hour, right? I did. Once, only once. Okay, we're going then. And then what's this? Notice what I did, by the way. I slipped in a minus parentheses because whatever I write after this has to be subtracted. You have to distribute at the end. So go ahead. What do we write on this one? Cosine 1/7. Cosine? What else? Cosine x. So it's cosine. What about the sine? Opposites. A little trick. And then what? I mean, it's easy. Sine 120. Sine. Now it's these people. This did not go well 5th hour. Not at all. And they don't like me. Well, maybe they didn't before. But I did get on them. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I went 0 for 4, maybe 1 for 4 on these next questions. And then I have an idea. So who are we going to start with here? 19. Nice. This is going to go well. Here we go. All right. Here's what I did for this before I asked the next question. We were in tutoring going over these same problems. And the people do not have chapter 2 and chapter 3 memorized. So this is what I did. I go, all right, I know the other teachers did the unit circle with it. It's going to be hard to memorize. This is really all you need. ASTC. If you don't know what that means, you're in trouble. And then drawing this triangle, just drawing the two triangles, like 30, 60, 90. Now that looks like a 60. I'll make it look like 60, 30, 90. And if you don't know these sides, that's on you. 1, root 3, 2. How long do we try to hammer those in your head? And then you could do SOHCAHTOA. You could do your Math 2 trig. I think they did that in Math 2. SOHCAHTOA. And I don't have any 45s, so student number 19, Connor, what's 210? Is it a 30 or a 60? It's not a 45. Just gonna At least I gave you a 50-50.
I know. Let's do 60.
Huh?
60.
30. Try again.
30.
30. Why did I take my picture off? Darn it. We should have saw my face on that one. It's a 30 on my chair. All right. 30. What quadrant is 210 in? Third. So it's a 30 and third. What's the sign of a 30?
1. Yeah, 1.
Over
2.
2. 1 over 2. Is it positive or negative if you're in quadrant 3? Negative. Because what's T stand for? Which trig function? Tan. And only tan and its brother or sister, cotan, are positive. That's what that ASTC means. So many people don't know so many things that we've covered this year. Why it's really tough to proceed on. So many homework not doers and all the stuff that's just continually destroying the class. And then what's cosine of 210? This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. You can't do that. You shouldn't. What's cosine of 2? So many absences, and people do jack squat when they're absent. Vacation! All right? Square root of 3 over 2. And what is that, positive or negative? I got no responsibilities. I need a mental health day from my non-homework doing for all the 74 days before this. You understand what I'm saying? All right? And then sine of x. All right, we'll move off. Is that... I swear, wait for... Oh my gosh. This calculator's obsessed with you. Nice. How many times did you go yesterday? Nice. We'll go again. Okay, so then what's cosine of 120? Sorry, it's way over here. And you can probably barely see my triangle, but we should actually know. What's 120, a 30 or a 60? It's not a 45. It doesn't end in a 5. So 30 or 60. Is that you? Did you say that? 60. Correct, because it's 60 away from 180. So what's the cosine of a 60? Did she say something? Because I could barely hear anything. So what's cosine of a 60? I know that's chicken scratch right there. Yes. And then what quadrant is it in? I'm sorry. Where's 120 at? Huh? 2. I heard someone yell 2. Did Aldona say 2 and you didn't trust her? Did you say 2? Did you tell her 2? I heard someone yell 2 over there. All right, so 2. So what's cosine in quadrant 2, positive or negative? ASTCS, negative. And that's how you can get away with this. I don't understand there's nothing, you love when I say that. There is nothing else I can do for you. Cosine of 60 is 1 adjacent over 2 hypotenuse. So we're demonstrating you don't remember that if we can't get that. And then what sine of 120 to finish it off? Actually, incorrect parenthesis by Mr. Samuelis. I want this parenthesis for the minus sign. And you're right. Sorry, I said incorrect when you said that, and that's not what I meant. Is it positive, though, or negative? It is positive because that's the S of ASTC. Sign is positive. So then even for a 45, 90, 1 root 2 real quick, if you had a 45 for these questions. And you had those questions yesterday. I think this should be enough. It really should. I just at some point. All right, and then look at what happens on this. Maybe I'll use a different color. By the way, this is step 2. Plus a negative, and you distribute this. And then look at this. What's this compared to this? It starts with an O, P, opposites. Isn't that fun playing, what do you call that? It's kind of like Wheel of Fortune or something. Hangman. Can you even say that anymore? Hang person. All right. Anyway, and then or hey, can you even hang anyone? Oh, that's violence. Cancel, Mr. Samuelus. All right. All right, and then negative root 3 over 2 and positive root 3 over 2. These are, starts with an O, opposites. Now, what does that become? 0, not 1. Okay, that becomes 0. That's when adding things in there, opposites turn into that. Reciprocals multiplied turn into 1. And you should know that. That's just simple stuff there. Okay, this is an awkward moment. Can I go over the 14 without you having it in front of you? What it's supposed to look like? So maybe that would be helpful. And then the people, I don't know if you'd scratch it down. Sorry, seventh hour. I don't know how I missed like collecting that and then stamping it real quick. I thought I did that 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, no, with the other class. Didn't I give this to you like Friday, or when did I give this worksheet? Or Thursday, or weren't you taking a quiz? I think I was supposed to stamp during your quiz, or I was supposed to collect when you were taking the quiz, and I was supposed to stamp, and I forgot to do that. That's what happened. You were the only class that I forgot to do that. Okay, so I doubt these will make it on the quiz Thursday. Not too. I'll wait till the actual test. Wait a minute, are we done? No, because we're gonna when we come back from break, we're gonna reiterate 5-1 to 5-4, and then we're gonna do 5-5 a little bit. You know, probably when we come back from break, have a test Thursday or Friday of that weekend break. Because you know the next week's like kind of weird. Is that the next following week where you have Friday and Monday off, and you come like 2 days or something? Maybe they're having the. I have to remember. I think it's the Thursday we get back. We're doing a chapter 5 test. Okay, but anyway, yeah, first week is normal. First week is normal. Okay, so now looking at this. This is the matching section. This would be in the matching. These quick little bang, bang, bang. You know, do a couple changes and then things get destroyed. Oh, who cares? You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and pass these back. Just take your papers back. This is so stupid to do this way. Sarah. Okay, this is great. This is on the video too. Awesome. Alona. Reese.
This is something different. Don't worry about it.
Good roll. Look at this roll.
Yeah, you
Hey, give yourself a he's quick. The only roll that everyone can do. Let's see this row. This is a bad roll. Sanity.
I forgot that there's 180
Why there's 60?
Angel.
50-50 chance. And he got it wrong. So that
It's
60. You go to the 270.
I know.
You gotta go to
What?
backwards.
You didn't do your work?
I can do my
Brian, Natalie. I'm just giving this sheet back. You didn't do it. I'll just get you on the quiz. Holy crap. Didn't even stick. Oh my goodness.
Oh. Which one?
No. You can't do this anymore. It's about the students that don't do anything. This makes me sad. How does that happen? Mr. Samuelus is severely and totally depressed right now by some of those things. Okay, anyway, I'll proceed on. Try to keep my spirits up. Because I got people doing zero, nothing. Okay, so first of all, to do nothing on this is inexcusable on number 5. 1 over secant. By the way, secant of a negative is secant of a positive. There is no difference. That's the even odd identity. Good, you guys are done, so I'm not giving you any answers. Cotangent of a negative is a negative, but then it's also cosine over sine. Sine of a negative is negative sine. So those are the actions for the even odd identities. Negative times a negative, anyone? Positive. Then this is an indication when cross multiplication equals 1, not 0. Some people do that. When they cancel this and this, they say this now it equals 0. Those are gone, so now those are 0. No. 1, 1, 1, 1. 1 times 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. This one is, this is not out of the realm of possibility for you to do. All right, let's do a quick common denominator. And then look at the numerator. This is gonna come up like 14 times today, or at least some sort of form of this. Now, if at the end of this you don't know what we're talking about, you're licking the walls and getting lead paint in your brain. And then I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to teach this to you and do more than math. Because, do you know that your brain's electrical? Do you know that?
Yeah.
We are beings of light. I just looked at this yesterday, a science show. But here's what's wrong with lead. This is a science thing. So, you have metal in your brain to conduct electricity for your thoughts to happen. Do you know that?
Yeah.
You know that? You have gold in you. You're, all these different metals. The problem with lead is, like, wherever the metals go in your brain and settle in, the lead takes over in those places, and the lead does not conduct electricity. Isn't this fascinating? So then what it does is it inhibits the electrical pulses in your brain. Isn't that fascinating? Right? Did I talk about plumbing, where that comes from, that word? Plumbing comes from the symbol for lead, which I think is PB. Science, anyone?
Yes.
So that's where the word plumbing comes from, because plumbing back in the ancient Roman times was made out of lead pipes. So they had lead in their water. Do you know that they poured lead in their wine? He's talking about wine in a public school with seniors. All right? They used to do that because it would give it a sweet taste. So the Romans were walking around with inhibited brains because they had lead in their brains. Isn't that something else? Some historians think that this kind of led to the downfall of Rome and along So anyway, let's move on. Right? Yeah, but it could have been one of them.
Yeah. Probably.
All right, so back to this. This one's different. Isn't that great? 9 and 5. I love those things when I see those interesting things. I did get an interesting watching YouTube kind of thing yesterday. Science stuff and all that. But anyway, that wasn't one of them. That's something from a long time ago. So I kind of showed this over here. Does negative x plus xy, are those like terms? Can they be added? No, so these can't be added. The number 9 there. So what you do is factor, and this is why I'm covering this, because I feel like I didn't do a full job of factoring with trig. So I wanted to formally cover that right now, but I thought I kind of threw that out there, but I realized some people don't know how to factor still. Again, math 2, math 3, and then last semester with me. So not only a cosecant you pull out a negative cosecant, because 1 minus cosine squared, say it. What does it equal to? 3, 2, 1, go. Sine squared. I'm sorry. I didn't finish my thoughts over there. I started talking about lead in the brain. What's cosine squared plus sine squared? 1. That's where I got in the lead thing. We're going to say this over and over and over again. If you can't tell me after the end of this class, sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, you're licking the walls and have lead in your brain. All right? It is tasty, and that's the problem. All right? It is a problem. I'm sorry.
And then you skipped one.
Now I went to this. Well, you were done with that one. Oh, well, didn't I already ask you what's 1 minus cosine squared? Say it. Sine squared. And then these multiply together. This is 1 over sine, but I would hope you know cosecant times one of the sines cancel, and that's why we have a sign left over, negative sign. Perfect tomorrow. Like a couple hits of work there, then match. Right? This is the kind of little ones that we would do. This would be Thursday, and I want to cover when you look at the back of the worksheet I gave you today, the 4, and make sure you're structured with your proof. And plus what I did in the notes today. That would be Thursday, the written. Plus what you did in homework yesterday, the old, what's cosine of 15 degrees? Cosine of 45 minus 30, and then breaking it down from there. That will be a Thursday written test. Okay, but I told you this yesterday as a hint. Last year I did something different, or 2 years ago. This year I wanted to say, hey, what's secant squared? Don't say this. It's not this with the negative. Secant squared is 1. Come on, say it. 1 plus tangent squared. So you replace it. It's substitution. And then now, why would I do that? Because look at the left side. The left side just has tangent squared. You're trying to match the left side. Distribute the minus sign and then add like terms. I gave you a hint, 50. And again, I'm going to tell you, it's looking, I don't care if you get upset with it. I get upset when I tell you, hey, this is what you should do in step 1, and you don't do it. You're not listening. Oh, it's the end of the period. I only get to listen 30 minutes. Okay, but look at this is like staring you in the face right now. Well, wait a minute, this looks familiar. What's 1 plus tangent squared equal? Secant, it's right there. So that's your first step. To do nothing on this, you should be suspended. Yeah, that's it. There should be higher rules here. No excuse for it. Ah, why did I put my screen off? I'd be making faces in the computer right now. I'm spitting all over the computer. You'd see spit flying at the screen. Maybe it's better for your imagination. All right, and then what do we have? A common denominator. Class, what's cosine squared plus sine squared? 1. Where did he get that from? Get out and go to the dean. And then what's 1 over what's 1 over secant squared? Cosine squared, and then that's how you do it. This is how you do an identity. Okay, you go step by step structure. It should look exactly like this. Sometimes you can do a little different thing, and that's I love when I see someone that thinks outside the box and does a little different proof there. Then look at this next one. Oh, okay. What did I give you as a hint for this? Prove that you weren't licking the walls on 2 days or 3 days ago when I went over this. Factor by grouping, because it actually has 4 terms. Okay, so factor by grouping implies, okay, all right, so let's calm down a little bit, Mr. S. Maybe they're not good with factoring still, or the ability to see that this trig is actually like variables. Okay, so when I group, first of all, I did do this. I gave you step 1, do this plus a negative, right? Then group the last 2, group the first 2. What's the common factor here? Not only a 2, what else do they have in common? 3, 2, 1, go. Secant squared. Undistributes. And then do undistribute a negative 1 on the right side. Class, what's sine squared plus cosine squared? I don't know. 1! Class, what's 1 minus sine squared? 3, 2, 1, go. It's just a form of this if I subtracted cosine squared. If I subtracted sine squared from both sides, 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared. So look at the next step. Boom shakalaka. No reasoning. See, logically, I understand the student. Hey, the change from here to here is a legal change. The change from here to here is a legal change. What's the word I'm sorry? Logically, I see the student doing the right thing, the right substitutions. I don't need an explanation. I don't fault the other teachers for making them do explanations on the right. I just don't. I like efficiency. I like less. I hope you appreciate at least that. Maybe not so much the yelling, but what's secant squared times cosine squared? Well, no, what's secant squared times cosine squared, though? 1, because they are reciprocals, and I would prefer that you write that, little expression. So you show me that you know that this equals that, and then 2 times 1 minus 1 is 1, which is the right side. We skipped 12. I want to cover it. It's weird. I remember when I first did it, I think I had to redo it. And then I actually changed the way I did this 2 years ago. But what did I say sine squared is equal to? What's sine squared equal to on the next one? What's sine squared equal to? Oh, no, it's 1 minus cosine squared. So actually, 2 or 3 years ago, I worked with the right side, and I factored the right side through an MA factoring. And I kind of use this. Okay, I know this is one of the factors, so the other factor must be 1 minus cosine squared, and I wrote that over here. But I think a much better way is how do I verify an identity? I make one of the sides the other side. This side has no what's. No what is there. No what. Sine. So I can change this in terms of cosine right away by 1 minus cosine squared. And then I can FOIL. I can. You do I can statements in any other class? Thank goodness you're out of here because I'm going to be forced against my will. Oh, am I taping right now? I don't care. There are certain things that go crazy in education. It's be more about I cans than me teaching math next year. If someone comes in and watches me teach, if I don't have my I cans, I'm a terrible teacher. Do your I cans, everybody. Write them down. I will. I'm going to do something. Don't let anyone know about this. We'll cross our cross our I's and dot our T's correctly. Make sure everyone. Wait, is that right? Cross our. That's why I'm a bad teacher. I'm crossing my I's and dotting my T's. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. All right. Anyway. Okay. So a cubed minus b cubed. Remember how this factors. A minus b. So tan minus 1, right? Tan x minus 1. And then, I'll just show the answer. This is actually a one-stepper looking at the right side. So it's a minus b, tan x minus 1. Remember SOAP? So minus same, but then it's same, opposite, always positive. That's why we have plus plus in the next thing. And then the first thing squared, tan squared. The middle term is these two multiplied together, 1 times tan x. And then the last one is 1 squared, which happens to be 1. That's factoring by a difference of cubes. By the way, I'm sorry, Sarah. You seem to be the one I get the most on that. Look, nice, at number 8 on your worksheet. Gosh dog it, you are going to definitely have something like number 8. By the way, I have a question. You looking at that? I just have a simple, maybe a tough question. Many of them may still not know this. What's sine squared plus cosine squared? What's sine squared plus cosine squared? 1. You get me, Natalie? Look in that little step right there. Do you see it hiding in there? Because then when you try to match that to the answers, something's wrong right now. It's because you have one more step to do. Got it? Isn't that cool? I love that. I love that with the difference or sum of cubes with trig. Something kind of neat happens with that. Okay, and then this one, don't worry about this. I'm not going to go to this. But once I told you this. This is the wall lickers. If you didn't write this down, you just don't pay attention to me. You cause your own problems and you walk out of here. How do I do this one? So first, and that you wouldn't imagine this. I don't think this would come up in your brain right now like this, because these identities are tough. I'm going to be on you. I know I yell and all this other stuff. They are one of the tougher things we're going to do this year. So why would I do 1 plus sign? Because I know 1 minus sine squared is what? What's 1 minus sine squared? 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm making it happen. And because I can multiply top and bottom by 1 plus sign because it's allowed. It equals 1. It doesn't change the value of the fraction. So this is why I starred this one, put this one in an outside the box kind of thing. This is ones back in the day when we really hit these hard, like in 2012, 13. Those poor kids, these got really tough. We would really try to challenge them, and very, very few would, accomplish these. It's pretty tough. But anyway, next thing is 1, and I did 2 steps in 1. I'm looking at the right side though. After I get through this, now we should be okay. I mean, I should be able to start with this. Maybe this is the question, right? Because this is a plus of 2 separate things. So what I want to do is be able to, break this up into 2 separate units here. So when I turn this into cosine squared, then I do the reverse of the common denominator rule. So I have them both underneath cosine squared. Now I can split them up into 2 separate fractions. And now I have 2 things separated, added together, which matches the structure of the right side. Notice what I'm talking about. To do an identity, you keep looking at the right side. It dictates where you're supposed to go, how you're supposed to do this. Then when you cancel, it all takes care of itself after that. So literally, I should be able to do that question. That would be legal. Oh, change it to cosine squared on the bottom, separate it into 2 separate fractions, and okay, it turns into the right side by definition of 5-1, what secant and tangent are equal to. But before that, yeah. Okay, and then the last one, I gave you this. I said turn them into 1 over 1 over and get a common denominator. I have a question. What's cosine squared plus sine squared? 3, 2, 1, go. I don't know. Fumble! That was a nice catch by your bag, though. It went right in the bag. All right, so that is why this turns into 1. And then look at the right side. 1 over sine squared. Hey, 1 over sine squared is cosecant squared. And then one, you could treat this as 1 times 1 if you wanted up at the top, and then 1 over cosine. I mean, you'd share the 1, whatever. But or sine squared on the bottom becomes what? Sine squared on the bottom becomes what? Cosecant squared on the top. Cosine squared on the bottom becomes what? Secant squared on the top. So we could just flip them up there. That's something I wish you guys could do, or not wish that. I don't care if you did that without showing any work. It's true, right? So why, if it's true that you write that replacement, why make them do more, kind of thing. All right, and then I'm going to sit at my desk and grade the ones that finished. Ah! Oh my gosh. It's too much lead. Maybe I was licking the walls and I can't.